Hi, we are in week 4 of our class, and hopefully you're like me and you're marking it off on the class schedule and you're checking when you do your assignments. I'm checking them as I grade them, so please make sure that you're keeping up with that because the due dates are important, as you can see from week 1. One other thing I want to remind you is there were a couple of you who did not do your journal entry, and if you don't do that journal entry or put something in that journal entry, you're not going to be able to access the next week's lessons. So if you are not seeing this week, it's probably because you haven't done anything in the journal yet. So please make sure you do that. Even if it's already been graded and you're still going to receive the 0 for it, at least go back and put something in there so that it'll open up for you. This week in week 4, what we're going to be doing are a discussion board and a journal entry. So those two things. The journal entry, however, is another webinar, and it's different from the ones that you've done in the past. There's a whole different link and everything in the module for you. So it'll take about an hour. So make sure you're planning your time wisely so that you can get it done before the due date. The due date is Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. So make sure you have it posted by that time, or unfortunately it's a 0 because it's considered late. Go back to my syllabus, and also I believe it says so on the course calendar that I can't go back and grade late assignments. There are just we need to move on from that. So please make sure that you're doing things, you're keeping up with it. Even if you do it ahead of time, that's fine. And you can post things. I know we've got a couple of students who are, they post things pretty early in the discussion board, and then they do their journals on Monday, just so that they know they've got it in there and covered. So please make sure you're paying attention to that. Make sure too that you're reading the assignments carefully, how it's supposed to be set up, what you're supposed to do. Some of you provided a certificate, but you didn't do a reflection, or vice versa. Make sure that you're providing everything that's required for that particular journal, discussion board, or assignment. Your next checkpoint for the diversity project will be due in week 6, I believe. Yep, 6. So it'll be checkpoint 2, and that one you have to do some research for. So make sure you're starting on that during week 4. That's going to be really important. There's also a link to some resources that might be really helpful in looking for that research that you need to do for your presentation. So please pay attention to that. That's going to be really vital to get the 100 points for this checkpoint. Make sure you're reading the assignment and the checkpoint clearly so you know what is expected, okay? And that's the same for all assignments. And you can download that, you can print that, and make it easy for yourself. The other thing that I want to mention to you is make sure you're reading the textbook before you do your discussion board. It's really important that we look at that material, because this material is going to build on stuff. It's also going to be helpful for your diversity projects. And within each of the weekly lessons or modules, as I call them, but they're weekly lessons in Blackboard, in each of those, there are children's books that I've purposefully, intentionally put in there that relate to some of your topics. And some of those topics that you have been assigned are going to be really hard to find a children's book about that. But there may be something in a children's book that depicts someone living that lifestyle, or having that circumstance or that situation happen to them within the family, or having had it happen, and they're talking about, resolve and that kind of thing. So that's the reason I purposefully and intentionally put children's books, the author or someone else reading that children's book for you in these weekly modules, and also for your annotated book list that you're going to be creating as well. So the assignment link is open. All the assignments are in there. It tells you when they're all due. So for those of you who do like to work ahead, some of the assignments are things that you could possibly start working on now if you choose to do that, instead of waiting till the last minute. I know if you're taking additional classes, you might have some crazy schedule at the end of the semester with everything being due and all the large projects being due. So if you need to work ahead on some of those assignments, do that, save them to your computer, and then when those modules open up for you or that weekly lesson opens up for you, you're ready and you can put it in there. Always proofread. If you're not comfortable with how you write or how things are worded, or I've given you some feedback that says to please proofread, you may want to have someone else read it before you submit it. The other thing is, if you click into My Grades, that tab that's on the left, you should be able to pull up your grades, and then you should be able to click into that assignment or that grade. I'm not sure which one is hyperlinked for you, but you should be able to click into that and see my comments and my notes to you. So please make sure you're looking at that this week for the past assignments and things that you've done before you submit anything. That way you know. There's a rubric for the discussion board. There's not, unfortunately, for the journal. We're still kind of working on a departmental one for that. But there is one for the discussion board, so make sure you're looking at that rubric so that you know how to get the maximum 100 points. Discussion boards shouldn't be that difficult because there's really truly not a lot of research in most of them. So please make sure that you're looking at that carefully. For this discussion board, because you're going to be talking about family engagement and family involvement, and they're very different, you're going to want to make sure that you access the resources in the weekly lessons in Blackboard, as well as read your chapter, because this is a really good chapter that talks about that and really helps you to reflect and think about your past experiences with family involvement, and then some mandated places that do that. So if you go to work for some of those places, you're going to need to know what to expect, from those families. So if you have any questions, email me. I am not going to plan any office hours for this week, but I will plan one for next week in case you have questions about your diversity project or anything else that might be coming due, to give you a chance to look over those. But if you need me, all you have to do is email. Have a great week.